All right, guys, welcome to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We got a fun show tonight. We got Lions Commanders pregame stuff going on. Big matchup on Saturday, divisional round. But we also, you know the deal. We got to talk Red Wings. We got to talk Pistons. We're also going to have a Detroit Tigers minute. Only really a minute of just, I haven't talked about them a lot the whole last couple weeks other than the Detroit sports segment I had last week. But we're also going to be doing a Michigan men's college basketball roundup. We're going to be checking in on all of the other basketball programs in Division I. That's not just the Wolverines or the Spartans. They're going to be included, don't get me wrong, but we're going to be checking up on them, see, what March is going to be looking like with them and everything. And then, of course, as usual, we're going to finish off with the Lions. We're going to be talking, again, Commanders coming to Ford Field. We're going to see what these boards are made of now that we are about to make our playoff entrance this season. Once again, super excited to be with you guys tonight. A little bit later than usual. We pushed it an hour back, but hey, life happens, You're watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be back in a bit.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
All right, guys, welcome back to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, I am your host, Christian Harvey. I get the privilege to host the Michigan-Detroit sports show for IE Sports Radio. Once again, just super excited to be part of the team. We are on episode 9 of me doing this. And I say this at the beginning of every show. It doesn't matter. I'm never gonna not say it. Super grateful to IE Sports. Super grateful to Larry for giving me this opportunity to not only talk about what I love, but in order to get more in depth with everything. We're going to be talking about college basketball tonight. It'll be the most I've probably talked about college basketball in the 9 episodes we've done so far. Just super excited to not even beyond that, just going into more of the sports teams. I know once springtime comes around, we'll be super excited to talk about clubs like Detroit City FC, or I know we got a women's or volleyball program that's really good. I know Taryn was telling me about it. But just super excited to go more into depth, other than the usual 4 Detroit teams and then the 2 collegiate teams that rule the state. Once again, you can give us a follow at Gritsville _IESR right on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. And then, give us a follow on IE Sports Radio everywhere. X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok for the last, 5 days, if that's going to be a thing. Facebook, YouTube. Also have our website, iesportsradio.com. That's where you can find my show and all the other great shows that we got. Feel like we added on a couple new shows lately. They're great. Definitely check them out. Fun for me. They're, the Minnesota, Wisconsin shows. Give them a follow, give them a watch. Trust me, it's worth it. We got a great crew over here at IE Sports Radio, so I'm super glad to be going through 2025 with them. And there's plenty more to come. You could also see what's on what we have for podcasts, where you find all of them: Apple, Spreaker, Spotify, you name it. We are going to be there. To start off tonight, however, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Red Wings and how all good things must come to an end. Basically meaning that their hot streak last night came to a screeching halt against arguably one of the worst teams in hockey in the San Jose Sharks. They lost 6-3. It probably should have been more than that. And maybe it's the pessimist in me. Maybe it's the negativity in me with the Wings. Because, for those that have watched me since the beginning, the first few shows of Gritsville, I was very, very critical of the Red Wings before they started turning things around with Todd McClellan. But last night before the game, I'm like, this is going to be a trap game, isn't it? Like this is going to be the game that loses the streak. And sure enough, I was right. Maybe that was my fault. Maybe that was just a hockey god saying, nah, we're about to put a stop to this. But last night was ugly, basically right off the rip. The Sharks put up 2 in the first period. I don't think we scored one in the first period. I think we got our first in the second. But that didn't even matter because San Jose kept scoring and didn't really stop. Basically, the only things of note from last night, and I'll talk about the big thing with last night and just kind of with the season as a whole. Vladimir Tarasenko decided to show up. Maybe it was a little bit too late in yesterday's game, but he scored twice yesterday. Good to know that our big signing of the offseason made his presence felt. Lucas Raymond got the other goal. But we got to talk about the elephant in the room, or in this case, the goaltender between the pipes. Bill Husso, he got to go. He got to go. Let's just go over last night. Husso allowed 5 goals on 23 shots. Played the whole game. McClellan never pulled him. He played the whole game. I believe this was his first game back from the Griffins with he's been fighting kind of an injury bug. It seemed like ever since we got him in a trade with St. Louis a couple years back. But last night was just more of the same with him. Just utterly abysmal goaltending. If you look at his season stats, he's only played 8 games. He's only won 1 of them. He's won 5 and 2. The 2 being, for those that aren't aware of hockey, because I know there's a couple people that watch me regularly that aren't used to hockey. The 2 is for overtime losses. So the team made it to overtime, but they lost them. So he's won 5 and 2. He's only won 1 game. I didn't even bother to look what the 1 game he won was. I'm sure it was probably a shootout, meaning that the Wings probably won like 6-5 or some weird thing like that. But looking into his season stats even further, he's allowed 3.69 goals a game that he's played. So in the 8 games that he's played, he's allowed at least 3.5. which is impossible. So let's round it up. Let's say 4 goals allowed each game. His save percentage is .866, which is not good. And this has kind of been the Red Wings' major issue the last few years has been with goaltending. When we first got Husso from St. Louis, I mean, he was pretty solid. I believe it was an injury that kind of knocked him out for a bit, and then ever since then, he just hasn't been the same. I don't know why he's still around. I don't know the contract details for him as to why, he's still around. But I feel like with the Red Wings goaltending circus, because we also have Cam Talbot on roster. We have Alex Lyon. In my opinion, Alex Lyon should be the everyday starter, but the consistent thing between the 3 of these goaltenders is that none of them can stay healthy. I know there was a segment that I talked about a few weeks back that I think this was when deadass everybody was hurt. We brought up Sebastian Casa. He's kind of our Cosa, my bad. He's kind of one of the big prospects that we have in goaltending, the other being Trey Augustine. I think he currently plays for MSU in hockey, but Cosa, it's kind of been the big name that everybody's been waiting for. We brought him up for like 6 games. He only played in 1. And then the one that he played, the team really rallied. That was the first sign of team life before McClellan came in. This was so during the Lalone era. And that was the only game this season of the Lalone era where it looked like the team even tried. And basically, even after that game, the team even said, like, yeah, we were trying to win for him. He got the win. I think he allowed 3 goals that game, but still. First sign of the future being here. You would think, okay, great. They found a spark. They want to keep pursuing this. Nope, they sent him down the next game because I think Talbot was back and Husso was there. And it's like, well, great. Goaltending just is going to be a major issue until we get Cosa and Augustine here. I'm convinced that one of them is going to be involved in a trade somehow. If I was a betting man, I'd say it'd probably be Cosa. The team is really excited about Trey Augustine. They really see him as their future at goaltending. And I know that when we drafted Augustine, we already had Cosa. But I think for the team, Augustine kind of fell a bit more than they expected. They had to take him. And so far, I know that Cosa struggled a bit with the Griffins. Augustine's not there yet. But from what we've been seeing from Augustine with MSU, he's been pretty solid. The team is super excited. I would love to see the team keep both. Because, hey, it doesn't hurt to have 2 outstanding goaltenders on your roster when for years we've been consistently having 3 to 4 terrible ones. Alex Lyon kind of being the outlier. He's been adequate. But Husso's been terrible. Last year we had Reimer. He was pretty bad. Talbot really isn't impressing anybody. Alex Lyon should, I think, be the everyday goaltender. But the problem is he just can't stay healthy. But Ville Husso, he's got to go. I think that experiment needs to be done and over with. McClellan, I know that when he got hired on, he was talking about that there's going to be an assessment period with everybody. Last night's game, the team is riding a winning streak. They're playing against a terrible team in San Jose. And you would think, like, okay, is he going to pull Husso at any point to at least give us a shot? I think at one point, it was the score was, I think, 4-3. We got one back, and I think we were just at that point we were down a goal. San Jose got another one, and then the last goal ended up being empty net. But we're like, why didn't we pull him out at 4? Why didn't we pull him out at 3? But I think McClellan, he's still assessing what he currently has, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was Husso's first game in the McClellan era. And I'm thinking McClellan's like, nope, he's going to stay out there the entire time so that I can see something. And I think from what he saw, he just saw absolute terribleness. But where does that leave the Wings now? I mean, the Wings won, like, I think 7 straight. Last night should have been their 8th win, but, stuff happens. The Wings currently are sitting right now at 20-19-4. Which puts them at 44 points for the season, which kind of leaves them about At this point, with the loss, they're 4 points out of the last wild card spot. And, the margin for error for the rest of this season, if they are really thinking playoffs, is extremely razor thin. I have a list of teams vying for that last playoff spot. They're all within 5 points of each other. Meaning the team currently in the last wild card spot has 48 points. And the last team I'm going to mention in this list has 43. Here's who we got. We got the Blue Jackets. We got the Senators. We got Montreal. We got the Red Wings. We got the Flyers. We got the Penguins. And we got the Rangers. All within 5 points of each other. And if you really want to go even more silly with it, the Bruins and the Lightning are basically tied for the spot above Columbus. Columbus currently holds the last wildcard spot, and they have 49. So if you really wanted to be a little bit more silly, for wildcard spots, there is 9 teams within 6 points of each other. And that is where, again, like I said, the margin for error is razor thin. Now, I don't know about you. Obviously, during the win streak, people were buying hope into the Wings again, saying, "Oh, we're bringing playoff hockey back to Detroit. We're gonna get the car flags out." That's a Michigan thing. And like, just so much excitement. And then last night was just a sad bet crash to reality. And I get it. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like the Wings were going to win more than what I think they probably should have won. I just didn't think the winning streak was going to end against quite literally all up until last night, a team that was tied for worst in the league. But all good things must come to an end. The winning streak definitely did. But now it's like, what are the expectations now? And that's what we're going to have to see in the next game, and then maybe even the next couple out of that, is how does this team respond to a bad loss? The first loss of the McClellan era was against the Maple Leafs. It was terrible. They lost like 5-1. I'm not going to count that. It was the first game under a new head coach. I'm not going to fault the Wings for shitting the bed in that one. But when you're talking about playing real fucking hockey, like what McClellan is telling his team, this is the first bad loss they've had. And it was bad on all accounts. It was terrible. We're going to just have to see how the team responds to this. If they go back to business, like, hey, we brushed it off our shoulders, we're back at it, great. You still have a shot. But again, there are so many teams in the Eastern Conference that are fighting for that wild card spot. Again, 9 teams, realistically, 9 teams, all within 6 points of each other. We got a couple months left in the regular season. If I were a betting man, which I am, I don't think I would touch the Red Wings making the playoffs. I don't see it happening this year. And that's not to fault McClellan. Obviously, he came in mid-season. He came into a dumpster fire. Like, again, this is more just assessment time for him, and that's fine. He was signed to a multi-year deal. It's not like he was just signed to finish this year out because Lalone had to go. Like, no, he was signed to a multi-year deal. He's seeing what he currently has. That way, come this offseason, I really do believe he's going to work in tandem with Steve Yzerman and being like, this is who I want. This is who I don't want on this team anymore. This is who we have to go get, either through offseason or trade. This is who I'd like. But this is what it really is. My expectations for the Wings are not playoffs. And I kind of said that right after McClellan got hired. Like, my expectations changed. I'm happy that I got to see a lot of good hockey. I'm hoping I continue to see good hockey, that they can brush this off. But again, I'm not going to be pissed at the Sun if they don't make the playoffs. My expectations aren't that. Just don't fall back into oblivion is basically all I'm wanting. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think McClellan, he's going to rally the team back together. They'll win some games, just not enough to, make the playoffs. And that's fine. That is completely and utterly fine. Like I said, can't win them all. But let's talk about the other hot team in Detroit right now. Because, again, the Red Wings are hot. They just had a bad loss. I'm not going to say they suck again. But let's talk about the other hot team in Detroit, and that is currently the Detroit Pistons, which is so weird to say. Especially Not even just the last 10, 15 years of Detroit basketball, but last year, especially, the Pistons are fun. They are a fun team. They're currently sitting at 21-19. That's good for 7th in the East. 8th in the East. I lied. It could be 7th if the Heat lose tonight, which is great. But they're 8-2 in their last 10. They are coming off a tremendous win against the Knicks at the Garden on Monday. Cade and Beasley just willed their way to win that game. The final score was 124-119. What a phenomenal game. The first half was rough. But Cade really came alive in that third quarter. I believe he dropped 18 of his 36 points, basically half his points in the third quarter. That's when the Pistons sort of took over. Malik Beasley, 6 3-points made. And that game just continues to be a sharpshooter coming off the bench now that Asor Thompson is back in the lineup. I believe all the starters finished with double-digit points. But the Pistons are just really fun, man. Like they're a good watch. I really enjoy watching the Pistons again. Which again, just it's weird to say. My love for the Pistons. I think I loved the Pistons before I even loved the Lions. My first season of really caring about the Lions was unfortunately the 0-16 season back in 2008. So nobody can question my fandom that I didn't just give up on football in general after watching my team not win a game the whole season. For the first season, I truly cared about them. But I've always loved the Pistons. I've always loved the Red Wings more before I loved the Lions. The Lions just now have my heart in the sports world. But I haven't enjoyed Pistons basketball since like 2008 and then the one Blake Griffin year. Like that was it. So it's exciting to see what's happening. By no means do I think they're gonna be title contenders this year, but it's fun to see them relevant. It really is fun to see them relevant. And that's all you want, because in and of itself, the NBA really just. I mean, I feel like I could do a whole show about everything that's wrong with the NBA, but I saw, and I think I said this 2 weeks ago. I saw some dude from ESPN, Kendrick Perkins, I call him some dude, former NBA player. He said that the league is fun when the Pistons are good, and it really is. I love that the Pistons are in there winning games that they shouldn't. Hell, it's fun seeing other fan bases now be like, damn it, the Pistons. Like, whereas before it was like, oh yay, the Pistons. But anyways, they're fun. 21-19, 2 games above 500. Always great to see. But tomorrow they got a huge matchup against the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers are one of those rascally little teams that just won't go away. And they got a solid squad. I'm not saying that they're bad. They got a solid squad. They're only a game up on the Pistons right now. Half a game, actually. Half a game. They're at 22-19. So, if the Pistons beat them tomorrow, we're up to the 6th seed, baby. We are up to the 6th seed if they win tomorrow. But, man, they play that one tomorrow in Detroit. That's a game that I can see going either way. Again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the Pistons are supposed to win every single game that comes their way, especially when you're up against a divisional opponent. And then one with a lot of history, too. Like, yeah, this isn't the Pistons Pacers of the Malice at the Palace era, but there's always something about the Pacers that's like, man, I just really want to beat the hell out of that team. So tomorrow, it's going to be a fun watch. I can see them winning. But at the same time, I'm not going to be like, damn it, if they don't. Because, again, the Pistons are still teetering between mediocre and good. They really are. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and pretend the Pistons are going to run the table come playoff time. They're still a couple years away from that. But it's just, it's good to watch meaningful basketball again. And, that also just begs the question even more, is that are the Pistons buyers? Like, are we about to start trying to be more relevant in this league? I talked about a lot of trade targets for the Pistons last week, and I think I even mentioned that they're kind of switching up their positions on either standing pat or selling and transitioning into a team that may potentially want to become a buyer. The biggest name out there being obviously Brandon Ingram. I believe he's the only big name out there. I really would love Cam Johnson from the Nets, because I know the Nets are about to be having a fire sale going on. But it's fun to see, and the Pistons in these trade talks, other than just being the middle team that's there for contract reasons, because again, the Pistons do have the most cap space in the league currently. So if they wanted to take a contract on like somebody like, let's say, Zach LaVine, for example, I'm not saying they should, but if they wanted to, they definitely have the cap space to do it. Dan over here is saying Jimmy Butler, question mark. I know I talked about Jimmy Buckets last week, saying that I would like to see it, because I know the one thing with Jimmy Butler is that if he doesn't think his team isn't trying, he's not going to be there. And Miami right now is one of those teams where it's kind of like, But I don't know if Butler has a no trade clause. I don't know if he'd be willing to come to Detroit. I know Phoenix is the one name I keep seeing because, we can't stop with these stars teaming up. I personally would like Jimmy Butler here. He kind of fits the whole grit thing that Detroit has going on right now. Like I talked about last week, I think he would, I would like to think that he would welcome it. But I don't know. I think with the Pistons, I think the league is still kind of players within the league is like, Detroit. I think we still got a year or two before, like the Lions effect. Nobody wanted to come here when the Campbell era started, but gave it a couple years. Now everybody wants to come here. Our brother Lucas, does he want to go to Phoenix? I don't know if he wants to go to Phoenix or if Phoenix wants him. It might be both. I think again, I would like to think that Jimmy Butler has a no trade clause, but if he doesn't, I mean, it's going to be wherever Pat Riley's going to ship him off to. But again, I would like to think that he does have a no trade clause. I know he's going to want to go to a contender. I don't even know if I can categorize Phoenix as that. Like, Phoenix is pretty terrible right now. So I don't think him going there is going to be any better for him. I really don't know where I see him going. Again, I would love for him to be in Detroit. Again, he's another physical embodiment of grit. And but I know age is an issue. I know he's been kind of getting hurt here and there. But again, just that was a pipe dream. I've heard Bradley Beal be brought up. I don't even want to touch Bradley Beal at all. His contract is atrocious. He's up there in age too. Like I want the Pistons to go over somebody that can make an immediate impact, but also won't cripple them moving forward. Again, Cam Johnson's on a good contract with the Nets. He's going to come in here, do his job. He's a great shooter. He would be perfect to go alongside with Beasley and Cunningham. He's probably the biggest name I would want. I personally want Brandon Ingram. I'm a little turned off by how often he can get hurt, but that's always been a name that's intrigued me. I know Michael Porter Jr. is still a name that's out there. He's a name that I still want. Again, just comes in and shoots. That's just what we need. We just need to surround Cade with more shooting, and I think we'll be better for it. But I don't know. The Pistons are buyers. That's what all the reports are making it seem like. I would legitimately be stunned if the Pistons do nothing. If they just sit and do nothing, I truly wouldn't. Jaw drop. I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Now, again, like I said in my intro, we're going to take a minute. We are going to have a Detroit Tigers minute. 60 seconds where I can just rant a little bit. I'm about to set a stopwatch now on my phone because I'm only going to spend 60 minutes on this team. Starting now. Can they just sign Alex Bregman already? I am really done with whatever front office shit is going on with this organization. Yes, we got Gleyber Torres. We got Old Man Cobb here, but like, why are we still here not signing Alex Bregman? Why did I have to see a report today about the Cubs now wanting to get in on him on a short-term deal because now Bregman is open to taking a short-term deal because it's not only just the Red Sox not giving him what he wants, it's also the Detroit Tigers not doing it, even though the Tigers make the most sense. He has his old manager there. We have a need at third base. Like, why haven't we locked him up already? Why are we such GD cheapskates with this? Because I guarantee it's Chris Ilitch being like, I can't pull the trigger on it. And I'm just losing my mind with this. Every day I'm waiting to see a report from Jeff Passan or Evan Petzold on did we sign Alex Bregman already? And I haven't gotten that, and it pisses me off, and the minute's done. There we go. Like I said, just a minute to rant. That's all I wanted. I feel good after that. I really do. But we're going to take a quick break real quick. I need a second to cool down off that. I feel like I didn't breathe that entire minute. But once we come back, we're going to be going through the Michigan men's Division I college basketball roundup. We'll be going through all, I think I have 7 teams there. 7 teams. Going to see where they're at. Going to see if they're going to even stand a chance at March. Spoiler alert. Only 2 of them will. But you're watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be back after this.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA to the grand slams of the MLB to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, guys, welcome back to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Cooled off a bit. That Detroit Tigers minute really did take a lot out of me. I felt like I've been holding that in for like 2 weeks. But it's good to get that out of my chest. But right now, we are going to be talking about the state of Michigan, Division I college basketball, men's division. Just kind of seeing what's going on. You know, I've been wanting to make a more of an effort to go over teams that aren't just Michigan and Michigan State. I'm not going to go in depth about it. Again, we're just going to do a quick roundup, seeing where things currently stand with these teams. And we're going to start off with the obvious one here, the Michigan Wolverines. They currently are sitting at 13-3, 5-0 in the Big Ten. Golden and Wolf are looking phenomenal. Area 51. They're cracking at it still. Again, my resolution for this team was to make the tournament, make a run at the Big Ten. I think they could potentially win the Big Ten. But obviously, the one team that is standing against them right now are going to be none other than the Michigan State Spartans. The Spartans are looking pretty good as well. They won tonight. They played against Penn State tonight. It was actually a closer game than I anticipated it being. They won tonight 90-85. That puts them now at 15-2, and they are also 5-0 in the Big Ten. I know they got a matchup against UCLA coming up. I know, again, UCLA is actually they've been pretty bad lately. I know when I talked about them a few weeks ago, real quick. They were actually one of the better teams in the Big Ten, but now they're actually 2-4. Right now, Purdue and Illinois are right on Michigan and Michigan State's heels. But I really think it is going to come down to between U of M and MSU when it comes to the Big Ten tournament. That their first matchup between each other is not until February 21st, and then they play the last game of the season against each other. So when it comes to the Big Ten tournament, seeding is going to be really important. But by and far, these are the two best teams that we have going on in the Big Ten right now. And, the Big Ten is 18 schools now. It's the Big 18, basically. But MSU, they're still my pick to win the Big Ten. I feel like people say this every year, like, "Oh, MSU is going to make a run." You never know. Like, there are certain like college blue bloods that you see, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they're going to go far," and then they get bounced in the round of 32 or the Sweet 16. Like, it never seems to happen that way, which is sad. But what are you going to do, I guess? But that's it for the Big Ten. Again, I could stop it right there if I really wanted to, because as I kind of said in the quick spoiler alert before the break, they're the only two teams right now that are really probably going to make the tournament coming from the state of Michigan. The other teams right now are just abysmal. But we're going to be talking about the next one, because I said we are going to look at them, the Central Michigan Chippewas and the MAC conference. I feel like that's redundant to say conferences in the C. Regardless, in the MAC, they're currently sitting at 7-9, and they're 1-3 in the MAC. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know everything I need to know about Central Michigan basketball. I just know that it's not looking too hot for them. I'm trying to pull something up real quick. I should have this written down. My apologies. Trying to see where they are in the grand scheme of everything. I know they just came off a win against Eastern Michigan, with who I'm going to go over next. But, I mean, Central's 8th in the MAC right now. And quick spoiler alert again, they're above the next two teams I'm going to talk about. So again, nothing really special there with Central Michigan. Again, still plenty of season left. You got realistically a month and a half before conference tournaments start, and we've seen some crazy conference tournaments happen. So we'll see. You never know. But the next one I'm going to talk about are the Eastern Michigan Eagles, who, I mean, they have the same record as Central Michigan. Again, they've just lost to CMU on Monday, I believe it was. Again, just, man, I feel like these teams are so redundant. Just, I know I wouldn't be doing my job correct if I didn't talk about them. So I have to, at least for a little bit. Eastern, again, nothing special there. I'm not going to try to convince anybody otherwise. And I'm definitely not going to try to convince anybody otherwise with this next team I'm about to be talking about, which are the Western Michigan Broncos. They too are playing pretty terrible. I feel like, Michigan and Michigan State came at the sacrifice of all these other Michigan teams going on right now. But the Broncos are currently sitting at 4-12, but they are also 1-3 in the MAC. So those three Central, Eastern, Western teams, they're all tied in the MAC. But I want to make this fun because, again, I don't foresee any of these three teams coming from the MAC into the tournament. And let's be real, the MAC might have at best two teams coming, and one of them's an automatic bid to get in the tournament because all they got to do is win their conference tournament. But I'm going to make this fun. I want to see between these three teams, Central, Eastern, and Western, who's going to have the better MAC record at the end. Whoever does, I'll buy like a hat. I'll wear it for one show. I just want to make it interesting between them two, or them three, because there's nothing exciting going on with them at all. I'm not going to sit here and convince you otherwise. I feel like more fun ones are with the next two teams I'm about to talk about. Really, the last two that we got going on as far as Division I goes, and in the state of Michigan, I could probably go about Ferris State and all of them, but I'm wanting to keep tonight strictly to Division I. These two teams stem from the Horizon Conference. One of them I almost didn't even include because I just know them for being notoriously bad until I saw their record and like, oh, they're actually tied with the other one I want to talk about. But the one that I almost didn't even include because last year they were terrible. Years before they've been terrible. The Detroit Mercy Titans. Again, I'm not a Detroit Mercy Titans fan. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this is why they're going to make up. No, they're 6-2. They're 2-5 in the Horizon, whatever that means to you. Spoiler alert: they're not making the tournament. I just wanted to bring them up. They were cute to talk about for like 10 seconds. But the one I want to talk about a little bit more because they were the darlings of the tournament last year. They made a little run. They made it to the Sweet 16. Jack Golke captured the hearts of every person in America. But the Oakland Golden Grizzlies, safe to say they're not going to make a run at the tournament this year again. They're pretty bad in the Horizon League as well, as they're currently also sitting at 6-12, with just a game up on Detroit Mercy for conference standings. Currently at 3-4. Don't see it happening. I like it. Just ain't gonna happen. You don't got Jack Golke no more. You ain't got nobody just chucking threes as if his life depended on it. Like, I don't even know where Golke went. I know he got like a couple sponsorships going on. I think he's in the G League or something with like Oklahoma State. I could probably be right about that. I think he actually is. But again, Golden Grizzlies, nothing really to scream about. And that was it for the Division I college basketball roundup. Again, of these 7 teams, the only ones that are really going to do anything are U of M and MSU. I would be legitimately stunned if any of these 5 other teams made the tournament, let alone the NIT. I don't see it happening at all. But again, between Central, Eastern, and Western, whichever one of those 3 finish with the better record, I'll get like a hat with one of them on it. I'll wear it during the show just because, again, I wanted to make it a little bit interesting with those 3 because it's like, dear Lord, they're all 1-3 in the MAC. 2 of them have the same overall record. Like, this is as terrible can get. Yeah, they're not touching any of these other teams that I'm seeing. But hey, you never know. College basketball, again, there's like a month and a half left of regular season. Anything can happen in conference tournaments. Central Michigan could go on a barn burner streak and just win the MAC for all I know. Like, they could. But I highly doubt it. I truly highly doubt it. We are going to take another break here. Again, I wasn't going to be long with that one. We're going to get back to everybody's darling after we come back from these messages. Because we got a bit to talk about before Saturday. Saturday night's a big night. But once again, you're watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be back after this.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy Dentarius Lava.
And we're the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys spending time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, guys, welcome back to Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And we're going to finish up with the baby boys of the town, which are, of course, your Detroit Lions. They are taking on the Washington Commanders this Saturday night at Ford Field. For those watching, the last drop was about Let's Whine About DMV Sports, Mike hosts that show. If I'm not mistaken, Mike, I think you are doing your show right when the game starts. I think I know I saw something in our chat, in our team chat going on. I don't know if you I don't remember if I saw that you switched that, but I'll definitely be tuning in for that if you're going to be starting right at game time. Don't get me wrong. That's going to be a fun one. It truly will be. But yes, and I want to be careful because I don't want to make it seem like I'm grateful for this. But I was hoping that the Commanders were going to win Sunday night. Not because I think the Commanders are an easy out. I mean, I'll be going into that a bit. I don't think they are. So just a precursor. But again, I don't know if I wanted to face the Vikings a third time. And again, I've spoken about how I feel about the Rams and the whole Stafford thing. I couldn't do it. I probably would have gotten close to just not watching the game if I had to deal with Stafford in Detroit again. Like spare me. So I'm really glad that Washington came through, because obviously we got the matchup against the lower seed, which ended up being against Washington. So I don't got to deal with the Stafford shit. Hopefully not at all. Hopefully the Eagles can just wrap them up and send them off their pretty way. I can't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. But yes, we got the Washington Commanders Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be such an exciting game. It's you got the rookie phenom and Jaden Daniels coming here. Again, that kid is special. I don't want to say envious because I love what we have in Goff, but man, Washington has such a bright future ahead of them, especially now that they don't have Dan Snyder anymore. But just the quick turnaround of the Commanders, it's jaw-dropping, just stunning to see. Super happy for them. I'm super happy that we get to play a team that we haven't played this season. Just get somebody fresh, new into Ford Field, and we're going to see who comes out at the end. Obviously, I think Detroit's going to. I mean, hell, they're 9.5-point favorites, I think, last I checked. I don't see that being an issue at all. I mean, again, Jaden Daniels is special, but quick sneak peek. Washington is 30th in the league against the run. And we got Monty coming back, and we have the absolute best running back in the league. I don't care about Saquon Barkley at all. We have Jahmyr Gibbs. That might be a little bit of an issue against the Commanders. But I'll go into that a little bit later on. But first, I want to go over some injury and coaching updates, see what we got going on. When we last left off with our heroes, Monty was still injured. Zeitler got hurt. Terrion was hurt. Pat O'Connor was hurt. But Monty's coming back. It really is trending that way. He's been full practice. I think yesterday was an estimated report because yesterday was walkthrough. He was estimated at full practice. Today with real practice, he was full. So he'll be back. He'll be beating on Washington's terrible run defense. The best news to come out of all this, though, Terrion is full practice, and he was full practice estimated yesterday, and he fully practiced today. Obviously, in the game against the Vikings, he was carted off, which is never a good sight to see, but turns out it wasn't as serious as what we were led to believe, and he'll be back for this matchup, which is super important because, again, Jaden Daniels can sling the ball. They got some weapons. Scary Terry is a weapon. We need all that we can get in our secondary, and having him out there is huge. As far as the other rookie corner we got, Ennis Rakestraw, he's not practicing still. I know they opened up his practice window, but he wasn't at practice, or he was at practice, but he wasn't practicing today. And then the other kind of big one, Kevin Zeitler, he had something happen to his hamstring towards the end of the Vikings game. I think they had the camera on him. You could tell that he was upset. That didn't look good, even though Campbell said at the end of the game it was something minor, but minor enough to the point to where he's not practicing. But if there's any game that I think we could afford not having him, this is the one. I mean, we're pretty solid at depth at guard. We got Mahogany. We got Awasika. They can easily step in for Zeitler if need be. Again, especially against this terrible run defense of the Commanders. Like I said, there's one game that he could miss. This would be the one. We will need him to be ready. If we get past the Commanders and we go up against either Philly or LA, we need you to be ready, my guy. But if you need this week, we'll be fine without you. Take it off. And then notably today too, Taylor Decker wasn't at practice today. When I first saw that, I was like, oh no. But then I saw it was for personal reasons. Apparently his wife is due this month. So assuming if it's for personal reasons, he was tending to that today. So didn't seem like it was injury related, which is good. And then the other name, Pat O'Connor, I think I saw he was no practice either. But he's just D-line depth, which, I mean, I guess our D-line depth is everybody. But going on to the coaching side of things, some interviews have gotten out of the way. I want to start off with Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn really seems to be the favorite for the Saints. It seems like the Saints are just ready to make an offer, which they can't do so until the Lions season comes to an end. But it seemed like that's the destination for him. And I know notably last week I said that the Pats requested an interview with him, but he said no to the Patriots. He did not want to interview with the Patriots. And if you even go into it today, he was asked about it today at the coordinator press conferences, and he said he just didn't see it as a fit for him. And while I think that could be true, I also think it has everything to do with how New England handled their coaching cycle. Notably being, Gerard Mayo was their coach. Dude never stood a chance because it really seemed like that they were just set on Mike Vrabel, who they went ahead and hired. But when it came to the Patriots requesting to interview Aaron Glenn, and this is where the Rooney Rule comes into play, and I'm not trying to be controversial with this. Like, I'm really not. I want to talk about it because it does involve my current defensive coordinator. The Rooney Rule, for those who aren't aware, Steelers owner, I forgot his name, Dan Rooney, I think it is. I know his last name's Rooney. I don't remember his first name. There's a rule. I don't know the origins of it. Basically, the rule is just each coaching cycle for a team that's looking to interview a head coach, they have to interview a minority. Either that's through African American background, Latin background, doesn't matter. The NFL dictates that you have to interview a minority. And I don't want to get into that. That's touchy. But basically with the Patriots, they had 2 interviews, I believe, with black coaches, and it really on the surface looked like that they were just interviews just to kind of just get out of the way with the rule, because these were coaches that I don't believe have coached in the league in like a year or two. And then where Aaron Glenn comes into this, because the Rooney Rule gets talked about every year in some capacity, the Patriots, they were already getting talked about it. Like, the sports media world was saying, like, oh, what are the Patriots doing? The belief, I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying this is what the belief was. The Patriots requested to interview Aaron Glenn, so it seemed like they tried harder to give somebody who wasn't white a chance. And I think that might have rubbed him the wrong way, because on paper, like, I don't see why else it wouldn't fit. And again, he could be rubbed off the wrong way about how the Gerard Mayo thing worked out, because it really seemed like that the Patriots were just really into Mike Vrabel. But I think something about the whole Patriots coaching cycle rubbed Aaron Glenn the wrong way. And I know I saw a couple reports that it was kind of leaning towards the Rooney Rule of it all. Again, I don't want to go any deeper than that. It's just, again, that's a touchy subject. But on the flip side of things, with Ben Johnson, the Bears are so highly interested, although it really seems like the Bears might settle with Mike McCarthy, former Packers Cowboys coach. Because I don't think the Bears are going to get Ben Johnson. I really don't. And And funny enough, these were the two teams that I want to talk about the main one. And Larry, this one's for you. Apparently, the Vegas Raiders really want Ben Johnson. Tom Brady seems to be, and I mentioned Tom Brady because he's minority owner of the Raiders now. And it seems like that he's really being the one to make a push for like we're going to turn the Raiders around type of deal. And there was a report that came out that the Raiders were like after their interview with them that they were really into him. And right now it seems like the Raiders are the favorites to land him. And I don't like this one particularly because I don't trust that there isn't going to be some sort of tampering going on behind the scenes. Because not only is Tom Brady minority owner of the Raiders, he is also the analyst for Fox Sports main broadcast team for NFL games. And guess which network is broadcasting Commanders Lions this Saturday? And guess who will be in town with the guy that he really wants? Tom Brady is probably already in Detroit. They're probably already doing their pregame prep. And Ben Johnson's obviously there. Now, obviously, I don't know the league rules all too well, but I would like to think that there are guidelines for somebody like Brady, he is an owner of a team, but is also part of the broadcasting side of things as well. I don't like at all that he's broadcasting this game. I don't like that he's in Detroit. And again, you have to imagine that, yes, Ben Johnson's going to be professional. Hell, you would like to imagine that Tom Brady's going to be professional. But there's just something about that rubs me the wrong way. That you have a guy who's hell-bent on somebody to become his head coach, and they now have that extra time together, so to speak, all this week, and lead up to what is a very important divisional matchup. At the end of the day, I just don't want Ben Johnson distracted by any of Brady's nonsense. If Brady's like, hey, you have 2 minutes to talk about the Raiders real quick. Like, no, I don't want to. No. Tom Brady better just go there, do his cute little Fox Sports job, and leave the Raiders at the door. Because I don't want to hear any sort of report coming out that Brady and Johnson talked about the Raiders' job, because there are guidelines in the NFL for when coaching candidates can be talked to. They had their time last week. We had the bye week. Yes, obviously Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn cranked out so many interviews. That was the time. I better not hear any sort of word that Brady was doing something shady. Otherwise, I don't care that Tom Brady is a Michigan man. Next time he steps foot in the state of Michigan, it's on site. I'll tell you that much right now. I'm kidding. But that just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I now kind of see Ben Johnson going to the Raiders, in all honesty. That should make Larry happy. Larry's a huge Raiders fan. So early congrats, because I do see this one happening. Even though the Raiders have no quarterback, they have nothing to offer anybody to trade up in the draft in order to get a guy. I can very much see Ben Johnson trying to emulate what Campbell did for Detroit. Meaning, first year, it is going to be terrible. You know it's going to be terrible. You got nothing. But you're kind of working out the kinks. You're working out seeing what you got with the promise that you're going to be protected until you get your guy, meaning getting your guy as in your quarterback. Because I'll tell you what, right now, Ben Johnson's quarterback of the future, if he goes to the Raiders, ain't nobody in that building. And they are not in a position in the draft to get their future guy. They're just not. They're going to have to try to swing a trade for somebody that already exists in the league, which even then I don't see happening. Something that's not going to be future of the Raiders. Like, the Raiders are probably going to have to go through a bad year or two, and hopefully they can be bad, really bad next year, that, hey, maybe you can get Archie Manning to come to Vegas. I probably said Oakland at one point, didn't I? That thought came to my mind. I didn't say the Oakland Raiders at one point. My bad. The Vegas Raiders. Again, I think that's the favorite landing spot. On paper, you want to say Chicago. I know Chicago fans, again, I live in the Chicago area. I know that these people out here are praying for Ben Johnson to come around. My fiance's little cousin, he's a huge Bears fan. He's like, we're going to get Ben Johnson from you guys. And I'm like, I don't know, bud. I don't see it happening. Again, the McCaskies are a joke. Ryan Poles is still Ryan Poles. And apparently, again, I don't know if this was rumor. I don't know if this was legitimate report. But apparently he didn't even want to interview Ben Johnson because he thinks Ben Johnson is going to go after his job. So dumpster fire, essentially. I didn't hear anything more about Chris Spielman and the Jets. Thank God. I think Spielman just did it as a formality, as just being nice to the Jets. I think I saw that Adam Schefter said that if the Saints shop for whatever reason didn't work out, that the Jets are an option for Aaron Glenn. And I'm like, there's no chance in hell that's happening. Because the Jets too are just an absolute dumpster fire. And then with the most recent coaching job, the one that came really late, with the Cowboys, I don't think anything's happening with that. I don't see them going after Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn. Just don't see it happening. But that's it for injury update, coaching update. Good news on the injury front. Bad news on the coaching front because we're definitely going to be losing both guys. I don't see Brady not getting his way, and Aaron Glenn is definitely going to the Saints. I would be shocked if that doesn't happen. But speaking of Aaron Glenn, when it comes to Saturday night, obviously we got the Commanders coming into town. They got a special guy at quarterback. And that's really going to be what this game comes down to, is how is Aaron Glenn going to game plan for Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels, by and far, he is going to be the runaway rookie of the year. Hell, he's not even playing like a rookie, is the issue. He's playing like an absolute seasoned vet. This dude is special. And it's the real big talk of Detroit right now. What everybody's saying is there's no way Jaden Daniels, a rookie, is going to come into Ford Field and beat us with the Ford Field crowd losing their mind. A rookie quarterback's not going to do that. Like that's what they're labeling Jaden Daniels as, and they're obviously not wrong. Jaden Daniels is a rookie quarterback, but you kind of got to look at the context here and what this dude is doing. The Washington Commanders were 12-5 this year. They beat the Bucs. Jaden Daniels, he went 24 for 35, rushed for 36 yards, and had 2 passing touchdowns against the number 3 seed in the conference. And again, he was 12-5. He already beat the Eagles once this year. Doesn't matter that Jalen Hurts got hurt that game. He still beat the Eagles. Like, this isn't a dude to be comfortable around. And Aaron Glenn's going to have to game plan entirely different because, again, thank God we got Anzalone back, because if Anzalone wasn't back, dear Lord, would Jaden Daniels be killing us in the middle of the field. He really would. That dude's got some legs. And that's what worries me the most, is we are not really the best against mobile quarterbacks. Look at the Bills game. Josh Allen ran all over us. I know the Cardinals game, we contained Kyler Murray, but that was also back when we had a completely healthy defense. So Jaden Daniels worries me with his legs. And again, his poise in the pocket is unreal. Like, nothing phases him. Nothing phases this guy. He had 4 or 5 turnovers in a game, and he still led his team to come back. This is a team that also, they're like Lions light. They also go for it on 4th downs. Like, they're prepared for almost anything. And the fact that people are just being like, he's a rookie, he's going to crack under pressure in Ford Field, I just think that's stupid to say. You can't just come in here or come Go online, go wherever you talk about Lions and be like, this game is a breeze. They're 9.5 points favorites. Like, you got to ask yourself, like, are you nervous for this game at all? I'm not going to lie and say that I'm not. We're now in it's playoff time. This isn't cute anymore. This isn't last year where, yes, we won the division, but we went ahead and won 2 playoff games at home, made it to the NFC Championship game, and then lost in brutal fashion. Like, last year was cute. This year we had way higher expectations. We went 15-2. Why are we... But we still can't just write off this Commanders team because they were the 6th seed and they have a rookie at quarterback. I'm nervous because, and I'm not speaking this into the universe. I'm not manifesting this. What if Detroit loses on Saturday? What if they lose? What are you going to say? Because a rookie quarterback at that point would have beat you. And that's the scary thing. Because it's like I said, I think I said this last week, or I talked about this last week. Anything short of a Super Bowl this year for the Lions is a failure. A loss in the divisional, it's a huge failure. You know how many Vikings and Packers fans I'm going to have to deal with online if we finished the year 15-2 and we lost in the divisional? After I was giving them hell for losing in the wild card, you should have seen what I was saying to some Vikings fans when they lost on Monday. I went to town. I'm going to get some of that clap back if we lose on Saturday. This I don't want to go into any further because I'm not manifesting it. We're winning on Saturday. That's my prediction. We're going to win. But to think that you're going to win by 15 plus points, I'm sorry, that's not happening. It's not. It's playoff time. It would have to take a lot for you to win by like 15. Like Jaden Daniels would probably have to like not play in order for that to happen. But I am nervous, and I think that's just a natural response. Like, there's nothing wrong with being nervous. You don't have to be macho fan and be like, this shit doesn't faze me. Like, there's arrogance, and then there's confidence. I'm confident the Lions are going to win. I'm super confident they're going to win. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you it is a surefire thing. The big thing around football, it's any given Sunday. But now that we play like 5 days a week at some points in the season, it's any given game day. Like, that's just the reality. You can look back at week 2 against Tampa when we played them. That was a game I had us winning easily, and we lost. We lost the game against Tampa, even though we had twice the offensive yard, we had so many yards of offense that we could only muster up 16 points in that game. We had twice as many yards in that game than Tampa, and we still lost. Like, nothing is a given in this league. You have to earn it. This isn't automatic. They have to go out there and win. And thankfully, we have a head coach who's not of that mindset. Look at Minnesota, for example, and this was their downfall. Did you see the video of them celebrating Sam Darnold after the Week 17 game against Green Bay? You would have thought they won the division or made it to the bowl or even won the bowl. They won a Week 17 game against a division rival. What were they celebrating? Cool. Detroit can't win the division with the win against San Fran tomorrow? Like, what was that? I don't even know where I was going with this for a second. Oh, yeah. Then not everything is automatic. Because look at how Sam Darnold played against the Lions and the Rams. He played himself out of a big-ass contract next year. I'll tell you that much. He really did. we can't act like we're the top shit when we haven't won it yet. Yes, we won the division. Great. We got the number 1 seed in a bye. Great. Is that what we're putting up in the rafters this season? Won the division? I mean, we probably will put that one up. But we put it up great. We finished 15-2, clinched the number 1 seed. Is that what we're putting up? No. And that, to me, was the Vikings' downfall. They celebrated beating the Packers. Yeah, cool. We celebrated beating the Vikings. Were we popping champagne in the locker room? I don't really think we were. There were just hugs and shit going on. But this team is of the mentality that the job's not finished, and the job isn't finished. I know with any Dan Campbell squad that we have moving forward until he's done in Detroit or whatever happens, I am not at all worried about what they're bringing into the game. I'm not. I'm worried about the football element happening. Because again, yes, it really is any given game day. Look at Aiden Hutchinson. We were whooping Cowboy ass. And his season ended. We weren't expecting that, especially winning at that point 37-6 or something. He probably should have been taken out of that game. But shit happened. And anything can happen in this league. And it's not SOL to think that. SOL is thinking the worst is going to happen because it's the Lions. No. That's such a piss poor mentality. And any fan who still thinks like that needs to just not watch this team anymore. They just don't need to. Because what's the point? You're watching just for something to inevitably not go your way for you to speak up and say, like, SOL. Get the F out with that. You don't need to be a fan of this team. SOL is dead. SOL is gone. Now it's just football stuff happening. And it happened to us a lot this season. Look at our defense. And yet they still finished 15-2. And why did they finish 15-2? Because Dan Campbell is leading this team. It really is it. He has these janitors thinking that they can play football, and they are. This is the same exact thing of Chris Fetter and AJ Hinch telling their bullpen, hey, you guys can play baseball, you know that? And they're like, shit, yeah, we can. And look at that. We won a playoff series. It's the power of belief is everything. And these guys are unfazed. So no, if they lose this game, it's not because I think they're coming out of the gates stumbling. It's because some football thing happened. They are going to win this game. They're going to win it by at least a touchdown. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm not nervous. I'm going to be nervous every step of the way. We could make it to the bowl. We could be a 40-0 at halftime. But until that clock hits 000, I'm nervous as hell. And that's fine. That doesn't make you a bad fan. That doesn't mean you think they're going to lose. It's okay to be nervous. You're nervous because you love this team. You're nervous because this team is having the greatest season ever in franchise history. And the job's not done yet. It's okay to be nervous, man. Doesn't matter. They're going to win. That's all I know. That is all I know. But what I do also know is that we are going to be live after the conclusion of Commanders and Lions on Saturday night. We will be live, just like how we were for the Vikings game. And we're going to be celebrating another win. I'm going to have the shades on. I'm going to be going a little ballistic. Because, yes, that is a big deal. I'm not going to act like, they were the Commanders. Like, no, like, we would have earned that win. And that's all that matters. Because you know what that means? 2 more games. 2 more games. And we get a shot at redemption in the NFC Championship game. Except this time we're on our own turf. Philadelphia, the Rams, I don't give a F who comes to Ford Field. We're whooping ass. We are going to be whooping ass. But that is our show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It was a later show. Just hopefully a one-time deal. Got some stuff going on at work. A lot of scheduled shifts. But we're hoping to keep this at 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. That's my hope. That's what I'm going to be striving towards moving forward. Tonight was just a little bit later. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Christian Harvey. Once again, you have been watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Make sure to give us a follow on X, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok for the next 4 days, YouTube at IE Sports Radio. You can find us at iesportsradio.com. That's where you can find my show, iesportsradio.com/Gritsville USA, and all these other great shows like 3 and Out. Let's whine about DMV Sports. Can't wait to see what Mike's going to say on Saturday about this game and all of our other great shows. Again, we're also wherever you find your podcasts, we're going to be there. But once again, you can give me a follow at Gritsville_IESR. Through that, you can also find my personal account where I also do talk about sports, but I talk about the other things I enjoy in life too, not just sports. But once again, we will be live after the conclusion of Commanders and Lions on Saturday night. So make sure to tune in, guys, for that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys. I'll see you guys Saturday night. Once again, you watch Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Have a good night.